Good morning. It's Nate G. It's Tuesday, November 28th, and we are doing our DPL morning session and kind of going over trades, looking at charts, and talking about risk reward because you can never get too much of that. So over the weekend, we had TGT or early last week as winners. We had D Dog as another winner. And on all my trades that I'm taking that are swings, I'm now using for the benefit of everybody in here, and I hope you're doing the same. I'm using these trade forecasting profit and loss boxes to help remind me when I'm supposed to stop out and when I'm supposed to take profits, which we'll go over here shortly. So, into last week, we had D Dog and TGT. I am currently in EXPE. It gave us a nice pop this morning, but not enough, and it got really spready to take it off. My target is up here at 139 and then 140. And it's been flirting with my stop out level, although it hasn't breached it. So, that's just there. Another one I called out yesterday, but didn't get myself. I don't know if anybody in here picked it up. You probably didn't. It was just kind of brought it up, right? Was this AXP? You always have that feeling of, all the trades I don't get in run, and the ones I do get in don't do anything, which is not the appropriate way to think about these things. But this one ran today. Oh god dang it. If I could just remember which tool to use here. It's not that one. It's this one. Going to here. Target would have been the 172 there, and we hit it today on this nice pop up. So AXP would have been a great one, but I did not get it. And then NVIDIA was just a day trade off of these levels down here, back up into this 481.63. I'm tempted to short it here. What's the overall market doing? I'm tempted. Qs are up. Qs are up above this point of control level. If they were holding at that level, I think I might short NVIDIA. Although NVIDIA stayed weaker today as the rest of the market was bouncing. So I'm going to keep an eye on that level. I'll probably be chit-chatting away and miss a little cupcake short. I mean, it's even kind of starting to set up a little head and shoulders, you know. So I'll kind of keep an eye on this, see if we form another shoulder area. Maybe try and short it on the break of that. I don't know, or maybe I'll just leave it alone because Nvidia can also rip your face off if it wants to. Bobby D, I'm sorry, the indicator that I just used. Oh, yeah, I'll show you that. If we are, what name was that? It was on AXP. Okay, so if we're setting up a trade on AXP, right? And let's just say we were back here when I noticed it yesterday. I am using the fib extension tool. Well, it's called the fib retracement tool here, right? Is it the one that I'm using? Yeah. So I start at the high on a TPS pattern. I pull it back to the low, and this gives me levels. You can see these levels in here. And a lot of times we're playing to our first profit target of a 1, right? This is 100% retracement of that pullback. And then our true profit target is the 1.272, or we just call it the 1272. And that's the extension above the 100%. These are fib-based lines. And so when I'm doing a trade like this, I put this in, it gives me the 1272. I mark that as my profit target, and then we're in the trade. So that's the one box. And then the other one is if we had taken this trade, let's say at this level, I've been using the long position and short position. So we would take it right there, and I would have probably risked to this value area low level there, and I set my profit target in up there. So then this shows me I have, a 1.5, a risk reward that's almost 4 to 1, right? It will tell me right here. So 3.74. And so if I leave this block on here as my trade develops, if it goes down below that red area, I need to stop out, right? And then if it gets to my profit target, I need to take profit. But anything in here is just noise, right? And I let the trade play out. So you can see that on, let me get rid of that. You can see that on EXPE. I put the trade on way back here at the start of this box. It's flirting in my stop out level, right? This is my stop out level right here. It's flirting in there, but right now it's just noise. It hasn't closed below my stop level, and it hasn't come up here to my target level. Excuse me. So it's just doing what it's doing, right? Okay, so I have two questions for y'all's in the room. I'm not even from the South. Whoa, Karine, that is a very different question. VWAP and VRVP are two completely different things. VWAP is volume weighted average price, which on let's see here. For me, it's this dotted line, this white dotted line. It resets every day. Because of the gapping up and whatnot, but it is the volume weighted average price for this day of trading. Okay, that's VWAP. It's this white dotted line. And it just gives you kind of an over-under line of where the average price is on the day based on volume. So it factors in volume. People use it as a bounce point, both to long side and the short side. And if you're above it, it's bullish. If you're below, bearish. Sorry, bullish. And if you're below it, it's bearish. It's just a good indicator to have on your chart. Now, visual range volume profile, VRVP, is this volume profile over here on the side. This, for me, it's a green and red. And this shows me volume traded by price, not volume traded by time, which is down at the bottom. This helps get support and resistance levels and point of control levels. So they are two very different things. Chandler, yeah, VWAP will give you intraday VWAP. And so you can see here, right? D-Dog, yesterday's VWAP finished, here at 112.72. And then this morning started at 113.37, right? So there's a gap in here because of the, any overnight trading and or the high volume that comes in at the beginning of the market, right? So they gap. However, if you want a smooth, I think I did it on TGT today. Yep. If you want a smoothed VWAP, you can see this anchored VWAP I put in here. It's a blue line. So anchored VWAP will give you multi-day VWAP smoothing from an event. So in TGT, let's get rid of that right there. In TGT, we had earnings here, right? And we got this gap up. So if I start a anchored VWAP from that first candle, it gives me this blue line, right? It gives me this blue line, which is anchored VWAP, AVWAP, yeah, uh, for multiple days. So that's the difference. VWAP and POC, depending on what time frame you're looking at, will a lot of times be the same thing. So, for instance, this is from earnings, which was when? Which was this? Wednesday of last week. No, Wednesday of 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago. This is anchored VWAP. And anchored VWAP, as you can see, puts us right in between these two red lines, right, that I have drawn on here. And I'm betting if I turn my VRVP back on, yep, see those two red lines? Those are the top and bottom of this point of control level. Some of it disappeared because I moved it so you could see it, right? So if I bring it back, right, I just want you to be able to see it. So that's like essentially our point of control, and an anchored VWAP for that entire time frame is sitting right at that same level. So yeah, they can tend to be similar levels depending on the time frame you're looking at, because they're somewhat measuring the same thing. For anchored VWAP, Kareen, and VWAP, no, there's not. I just used the default. Cooper, did we miss the trade? I felt like that would be a good short. Oh well, I was on the mic. It happens. It happens. So now it's going to be interesting to see what it wants to do. Does it want to stay within this pattern? Which means it would have to hold this 477.55 level and or VWAP here, and then stay in the pattern. And that would be a breakdown and reclaim. Or does it want to roll over and continue to go lower? Brian, I don't think you should. Okay, so that was another thing I promised everyone I would do really quickly is talk about trading view. So how many type of five in chat if you just got a subscription to Trading View through their Black Friday deals. If you are new to Trading View and you just got a subscription. Okay. So, would you like me to show you how to set up your charts? Type of one in chat if you'd like me to show you how to set up your charts. Okay. So, when we're setting up our charts, I have a video on this on YouTube, but we'll go through it one more time. Sally, how to set up ticks on display. Yeah, I use ticks in trading in Thinkorswim, and I just have them on a different window. So you can do that with TradingView too if you want. It depends on how much screen real estate you have. But let's set up a new chart in TradingView. So everybody with me here, you're going to go up to this little plus symbol next to your tabs. You're probably going to need to do this on the desktop version and not the web version. Right? So we're going to go hit this little check plus box, and we're going to create a new chart. button right here. It's going to give us a default chart of whatever name we have up. Keith, that's how you add a tab to the top. You just hit that plus button and it gives you a new chart. I think TradingView is for charting is much better than Street Smart Edge. That's my opinion though. The plus button is right up here. You know, at it'll be just to the right of the tab you have currently going. As long as if you're using the free version and you only can have one chart at a time, then you're kind of stuck. If that's the case, then you need to go in here and just make changes to the chart that you're in and then save it. Yep, I would agree with that, Michelle. That is the order of my charting preference. I don't even look at charts in Street Smart Edge. Your tabs are not at the top. Are you using a web version or are you using the desktop version? Yeah, you probably need to download the desktop version. And this won't work if you're trying to do this on a phone or an iPad, you're just not going to have the flexibility that you would want. Okay, so we have our chart, we have our blank chart up here, right? So let's start putting some indicators on it, right? So the first thing we're going to go is hit this indicators button and we're going to type in Squeeze Pro. You're going to look for Squeeze Pro indicator by Make It Zero. Yours won't be starred. Mine is because we use it. It'll be in here somewhere. You want it to be from Make It Zero. And you're going to click that and it's going to put that on your chart. Okay? And then you kind of make that whatever size you want. Okay, so just do 365, just start where we're at now. Just put, just start putting these things on your chart and then you can save them. You just might not be able to have multiple tabs open at a time, but you want to save your chart style, right? Not much. There's not much difference, William, other than the Make It Zero is a Squeeze Pro version. Yeah, there is an equivalent in Thinkorswim, and I also have a video on how to set that up on YouTube as well. It's called the TTM Squeeze, but you can set all of these things up in TradingView as well. Oh, good. Your tabs are on the right side. That's great. So just make a new tab. The plus button should be, somewhere near those tabs. Yes, TradingView works separate of TOS. They're two different things. Okay. So now that we have our TTM squeeze on the bottom, we are going to go in, and another really important indicator is you can hit that indicator button and go VRVP, and you'll see visible range volume profile. You're going to put that on your chart and you're going to close it. Then to edit that, because you want that to look, a little more like Nate's charts and my charts, you're going to come over here to the VRVP up here in the corner and you're going to hit the little gear icon. Okay. Once this gear icon is open, I want my placement here. I like my placement on the left. Okay, and then see how these are all at 25, the up volume, down volume. I change my value area up to 25. And then I change my value area down to 25, so they're all the same. I don't need it deciding things for me. If you're new, I would leave point of control on because it's very helpful. And then I click over to inputs and I change my row size to 150 and I leave it as up down. And the reason I change it to 150 is it just gives me more detail over here. And as you can see on my other charts, I've changed the colors of these from blue and tan to, red and green, but you can just do that. Really quick, it's there's the link to where these get posted in YouTube. Okay, so now we've got TTM squeeze and we've got volume profile on our charts. I'm going to go back up to indicators. I'm going to type VWAP, volume weighted average price, VWAP. I'm going to click that. Then I'm going to close this. Then I'm going to go to my VWAP over here in the corner. I'm going to hit the gear icon. And now I am going to uncheck the bands multiplier. And then I'm going to go to style. And I'm going to change the color to one of these light grays or white. And then I'm going to change the line type to circles down here at the bottom. And then I'm going to hit OK. And now I have VWAP on my charts. So I have TTM squeeze, volume profile, and VWAP on my charts. The last thing I'm going to do is come in here and type in EMA, which stands for moving average. I'm going to click my moving average exponential. I'm going to do it once, I'm going to do it twice, and I'm going to do it 3 times. Okay, so all 3 of those are in there. I'm going to close it, and I'm going to come up to my first one, EMA, that's the dummy sets it at 9. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to leave it blue, but I'm going to change the input to an 8, and I'm going to close. I'm going to come back up here to my second one that's still at a 9. I'm going to hit the gear icon. I'm going to change that to 21. And then I'm going to go to my style and I'm going to change that color to white or light gray. And for me, I like to make my 21 a thicker line. So I'm going to go down here to the thickness, make it a little thicker. And then Nate has, and I'm going to go to my third one. And I like to use orange for my third one. And I'm going to close that. And I like to use the 34. But Nate uses the 55. So if this is a chart, Nate Bear chart, you're going to change that to 55, right? Now I have the 8 in blue, the 21 in white, and the 55 in orange. Yeah, that's a great point, Michelle. If you have limited indicators, you can do that. And I wouldn't use VWAP if I had limited indicators. Okay? So then we have all the tools we need to look for these TPS setups. Now the other thing that I'm going to do is come in here to my time frames. You see the time frames up here, right? I have a lot of them on there. I'm going to open the time frames and I'm going to star the time frames that I know I want. Okay? So I want the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 10 minute, the 15 minute, the 30 minute. Okay? And then the daily. What you won't have on here is 65, 78, 130, and 95. So what you do at that point is you come down here and you to the very bottom and you type in 65. Make sure this is minutes and you hit add. And then you type in the 78 and then minutes and then add. Then you do that with 130 and 195 and they pop up in this area, and then you just hit the star button or the star icon to favorite them, and that puts them up here in your time frame buttons. Robin, these are just tabs, different tabs. I open a new window with this plus bar over here. For some people, I think it's on the side, but they're just tabs. Now, once you have all of this set, you need to come over here to this, unnamed, and you need to rename it or save the layout. Okay, we'll save the layout, and then we'll rename it, and we'll rename it, new. I mean, whatever you want to call it. TTM squeeze. I already have that in here. You're going to hit save. So that chart is always saved with all those indicators on it. So that when you open, and I'll do it again, when you open a new tab, instead of hitting create new chart, you can pick from charts that you've chart setups that you've built. Okay, so here's one with the RSI strat, which is going to have a bunch of RSI related, this is our sniper setup, which we just missed a sniper setup, right? Or you can say, oh no, I want this to be, my TTM squeeze chart setup, right? Then when you're opening a new name, you can just pull up that chart and it has everything you need on it. Paul F., I know they're working on getting in touch with you. So when you were asking earlier, they are working on getting in touch with you. So hang tight. They'll find you. And yes, the session is being recorded. Okay, does anybody have questions on how to set up their charts in TradingView? That's our sort of full session. And then you can turn off any of these things if your chart just feels too busy, You just hit the little eyeball icon and it turns off, VWAP or it just turns it off temporarily but doesn't take it off of your chart. And now forever you'll have charts that look exactly like Nate's. I don't use it AVWAP for as an indicator. I just attach it when I want to see it. It's this fourth indicator down. Just hit this arrow. You'll see anchored VWAP right there, and I just attach it to the beginning of a move that I want to see. So I don't use one as an indicator. Brock, that's what I have. It's not it's just two different monitors, right? So I have TradingView on this monitor that you're seeing now. And then on another monitor, I have Thinkorswim. Yeah, Michelle, you are correct. It's a tool, not an indicator. Yeah, I think I have. Let me see. I think I have. That's the RSI. Yeah, I might have to make another one because the RSI strat chart, well, I guess because it wouldn't give you this, and it does have, there's RSI, and there is, where's MACD? And MACD. So really, you want this chart, which has RSI and MACD. So I will copy that link and sniper setup is that. Dennis, I have a video on that. Setting up the EMAs in Thinkorswim, setting up the whole chart in Thinkorswim from scratch. So if you go on there, you should be able to find it. It's one of the more recent videos. But I don't have time to swap over to Thinkorswim and do a whole setup video right now. I just thought it would be useful to do that now for all the people that were trying TradingView for the first time. But you can find it on YouTube. I did one. Okay, any more TradingView chart setups? VRVP. I'll just throw up that's my inputs. If you want to take a screenshot of that, change my row size to 150. And then in the style, I move things to the left. And then I make the up volume, down volume, value area up, value area down, all the same percentage. And I change the color, but you don't have to do that. Okay, so let's move on really quick. Yeah, I believe so. I think that's just part of the premium that I have. Just take a screenshot of it, and then you'll have it forever. How do you get more charts on one screen? You mean like this? 2 charts? John W., just copy that chart that I gave you and you'll have them with the sniper setup. And it has the RSI sniper setup does have one paid indicator, but you don't need it. NVIDIA is bumping up against this 481 again. Come on, Expedia, give me some love here. Okay. So earlier today, a handful of people in here, and this is very common, so please, I mean, you don't have to hide. We're talking about, having some losses, and I don't remember who it was, but there was some comments about, it takes a lot of small winners to make up for one big loser, right? And so if you're struggling right now with and cheap keep in mind TPS setups are that particular trading style is still struggling at the moment. I haven't been doing all that great with that either. So that's the market environment. But if you're having trouble with managing large losses and um, and taking small profits and going backwards in your P&L, type an 8 in chat and let's just talk about that for a minute. And it happens to us all. So I mean, please don't feel like, by putting an 8 in chat, you're like, people are going to think I'm a loser. Like this is all part of the game, right? Okay, so let's talk about something very specific to that. And I appreciate everybody putting, that means you have a growth mindset, right? The growth mindset is, I'm here to learn. Um, Jill, let me get through this and then re-ask that question for me, and I'll try and fix it for you. Okay. Uh, Having a growth mindset in this game is really important, right? You wanna keep working at it because everybody here wants to be, a professional trader or trade full time, as you would say, or even just make additional money. But that's not going to happen if your losers outweigh your winners. It's as simple as that phrase, right? Is the idea that you can be profitable in this game when your losers outweigh your winners in terms of percentage loss to percentage gain. That's the quickest way to go bust, right? Um, Learning is the icing, right, Chris? Um, so what I would say if you're struggling with outsized losses and small gains is to start looking at your risk reward for each trade, right? We call that the RR. When you put a trade on, and here's my guess, right? My guess is you're taking a trade recommendation from Nate Bear, D-Man, myself, Chris, and you hear that we've bought something and you hear that there's the options we're in or the trade we're in is this, and you just buy it and then wait for somebody to tell you what to do. So if you're guilty of that, if you're guilty of just buying a trade recommendation and waiting for somebody to tell you what to do, put a 1 in chat. And then if nobody tells you what to do, you don't know what to do. Right. And so what I recommend is using the learning portion of this service. And I can't tell you how important and different that is to so many other services that I've seen and or paid for and or been in. The learning aspect of this game is you have people on the mic a significant amount of the time, not all day, but a significant amount of time teaching you the how, right? But my recommendation is when a trade recommendation comes out is to pull up that chart, figure out if you like that recommendation, figure out if that fits with your trade parameters, your risk parameters, and then set up your trade so that you know I'm taking the trade here, my stop level is here, and my profit target is here. Because the one thing that beats all of us up is, well, there's two things. One, you need a plan. And if you don't have a plan, how the hell are you going to track whether what you're doing is working or not, right? You have to have a plan. And then two, you have to take emotion out of it. I'm not going to write all of emotion, right? You have to take emotion out, because I'm doing this with my mouse and it just takes forever. Okay. So this trade, the EXPE, is not working for me right now, as you can see, right? It is falling below my stop level. Now, I took this on a 30-minute chart. Okay. So if this 30-minute candle here closes below this level, then it's exceeded my stop and I need to get out. But this isn't going to break my bank, because I got in here. I got in at this level right there. And this is my stop. Okay? So I have a defined risk that I am going to honor. Right? My reward would have been a move into this target area, and still will be. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here, right? So my risk to reward is roughly, if I click on this, my risk to reward is almost a 3-to-1. Okay, 2.81. But for that to be, so let's say that's risking $1 to make 3, give or take, right? I can be a 50% trader, 50% win rate. I can throw a dart. And if I can honor these levels, I'm a profitable trader. Right? But here is the big problem. We take trades, we don't set a defined risk, and then we let this trade do this, and then I hope it comes back, and I hope it comes back, and then it expires worthless. And I know some of you are thinking, you're looking over my shoulder and you're describing me to a T. And the only reason I can do that is because we've all been there. Every trader in here has been there. Okay? So the big key is, how do you avoid these huge losses where you're waiting and you're hoping and you're maybe adding and you're losing, 90% of the value of that trade? Is discipline. Discipline to set a stop level, and discipline to follow, not only set a stop level, but ensure that your risk reward is 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 10-to-1, right? And when the trade breaks down, if you've set this defined level, whether that level is right or wrong, right? So let's say you're putting on an option trade, right? Let's say your max option trade is $1,000. Okay, and so if you're taking this trade and your max is $1,000, and then your max loss is $100, right? This would be a 100 to 300, $100 loss or a $300 win if you were going to follow your rules and you had 3-to-1 here, right? So you could win one time, lose twice, have a 30% win rate, and you'd still be up. But that's only possible if you honor this stop, and also if this starts going up and you take your profits too early, if you take your profits at 150 and you're still managing a $100 risk or more because you're not following your trade plan, then this nice 3-to-1 risk reward with this box that you've created doesn't exist. You might as well not draw this box, right? Because if you're not going to honor the stop and you're going to take profit too early, you don't have a 3-to-1 risk reward, right? You just don't have one. You might think you do, but you don't in reality. So the way we draw the box, and there's a number of ways to create stops. I use volume profile and I create a stop based on what I see in the chart, right? This is my stop level. So I took the trade up here. So I know, I know I have a 3-to-1 risk reward. I know what my max loss ought to be from a dollar perspective. I know how far out I'm taking my options, so I know what my delta is, right? And my theta is roughly, theta's flexible. And I can figure out if I take 10 contracts of this and it's 136 to 136.25 to 135.25, that's a dollar, right? So at a 50 delta option, each option is going to move 50%. I know how many options I can buy to, within reason, limit this to my whatever my max loss is, right? You have to do the math in your head. And then I need to honor this stop. So you draw these boxes by using this tool here. You can do a long position or a short position, right? And then once you come in to redraw EXPE, sorry, all you have to do is click it. So you're going to come in here and I put the trade on. Hold on a minute. Let me draw a line where I put the trade on. Sorry. Just so I can remember. Okay, so that's that second line down. I'm going to make that green. Okay. So I'm going to delete this box. Okay, so you're putting on the trade. I put the trade on back here. It's a long trade. I know that I put it on here. I know what my stop level is. So I'm going to move the bottom level up, right? And then I'm going to push my profit target up to the target level. And I showed you how I did that with Fibonacci. And then I can just stretch this thing out for the duration of the trade. And when I glance at it, I can see it's not outside my box, right? I can see that I have a 2.93 risk reward ratio. That's basically a 3-to-1. And now I have to honor these, right? I have to take this off if it goes down below this, right? I have to take profit into this target level. Bitcoin is cruising. That's great. And then I just get to sit here and watch this thing do whatever it's going to do. And you can see I have these. Did I take it off of D-Dog? I did. No, there. Okay. Here was my D-Dog trade last week. Okay. I put it on right here. I knew what my risk was. I knew what my target was. And look at that. Bang. It hit my target. And it didn't stop me out. That's a winner. This EXPE, it's not looking great. It might be a loser, but that's okay because this is 3-to-1. Where was D-Dog? D-Dog was almost, it was 3.5-to-1, right? And if my trade size is the same for each one, my profit of 3-to-1, even if I stop out of this, almost 4-to-1, I also had TGT and DDOG last week, and I may lose on EXPE, but those were both almost 3-1. I think DDOG is, yeah, that was DDOG, and then TGT, I took that one off because we were talking about it. But that was almost a 3-1 as well. So I can lose here, and it's okay. It didn't go the way I wanted it to. That's not the end of the world. You're not going to win on every trade, right? I mean, that's just impossible. We look at charts, we find setups, we make sure we have an edge, and then we take a shot. Some work, some don't. The market decides. With experience, you'll increase your win rate because you'll understand why things are happening a little bit more. But the only way to stay in this game is to remember that each trade needs a higher reward to risk, and you have to honor your stop. Even if your stop is wrong, and you can journal it and review it and be like, okay, I need to change the way I'm setting my stops, blah, blah, blah. But once that trade is on, and even if it's a rec from someone else, right? Even if it's a recommendation from someone else that didn't put in, dang it, Tesla, that didn't put in, where their stop was, you need to put your stop in and not wait for somebody else to tell you what to do. So when you get a recommendation from one of us and you like it and you want to put it on and you don't have a profit target or a stop loss, that's when you ask, where would your stop loss most likely be in this trade? Right? And what's your target? Those are great questions that those of us that are putting trade ideas in, we're happy to answer those. The ones where it's like, such and such is crashing, what should we do? That's like, I don't know. You have to make those decisions on your own. But make those decisions before you take the trade. Does anybody have any questions there? This is kind of a key, important piece to becoming a successful trader. Is there any questions on that? Am I just talking to myself now? Okay. And you're going to hear it 1,000 times. I mean, I've done this sort of the same discussion, probably 5 or 6 different times. But that's how you make sure that your losers don't outweigh your winners. Use the ideas in here. There's tons of great ideas that come into this room, both from just people in the room and obviously Nate Bear, D-Man, myself, right? There's tons of great ideas, but you have to make them your own. Once you click that buy button, that's your trade, right? That's how you have to think about it. It's not somebody else's. It's not somebody else's fault if it doesn't work. You took the trade, you pushed the button, it's yours, right? You just took the idea, which is totally valid. I take ideas from everybody, but you have to take ownership of it. And to take ownership of it, you have to know where your stop out level is. And that stop out level has to hit within your risk parameters. The size of my account, I can only risk, let's say, $500 is my max trade, and I'm risking, I only want to lose $100 on each losing trade. So then you have to figure that out on the chart. You have to say, well, my stop level is this. So how many contracts can I buy that if it gets to my stop level, that's only $100 loss, or only $1,000 loss, or only a Do you know what I mean? Like whatever your trade parameters are, and only you can decide that because only you know your actual account size, and only you know what your risk tolerance are. Some people have much higher risk tolerance. So that's my suggestion to those of you who are feeling like um, your losers are outweighing your winners, because it's extremely common. That's an extremely common problem. Probably the number one reason traders fail. And that sounds so easy to understand, but it takes so much time to get there, right? And you don't have to put in a hard stop, right? Just know where your stop level is and watch your trades. And it may be different from the person who took the trade. Like I may have a little bit of leeway in this stop level. And so you set this stop level, you get a break. Okay, I'm out, right? That's okay. There'll be another trade. You still only risked what you were willing to risk. All right, I think I've kind of beat that dead horse, but that's the only way to get better at this. Yeah, Chris, that's exactly what you have to do. Make a spreadsheet, plug all the numbers in from your trade prior to taking it or once you've taken it, and then understand what that risk is. And don't get to points where you're losing 100% of the value of the trade when you were only hoping to risk $100. Thanks, Jeff Mack. That I think so too. There's I think that learning how to make money in the market is actually fairly easy. It's it's learning how not to lose more money than you make that is the hardest part, because there's the psychological level. There's following a trade plan, and then when your trade plan goes against you, the psychology of cutting a trade makes it real, right? Even though your profit and loss on the screen shows you that you're past your, whatever your P&L loss is, you're past your risk parameters, but it's not real until you sell that or buy it back, or what, shorting or longing or whatever. Then it's an actual loss in your account. And that's the hardest part for people to understand, is that it's a loss regardless. Cut it, and then you're not going to sit there and try and trade your way back into a trade that's already broken. And you're going to spend all your mental capital trying to, as this thing's drifting off, there's six other trades setting up, but you're like, oh God, I'm going to try and bounce it here. Or man, if it just gets back up to here next week, you're spending all that mental capital when you could just be looking at another trade and going, okay, I lost my $100 here. That's fine. I made $400 over here on another trade. And had the presence to take a third trade, and I made $300 on that. And then this is just gone. You don't even realize that you've lost that $100, because losses come. They just have to be within your risk parameters. All right. Does anybody have any questions on that? Yeah, Mark, nobody can predict what the market's going to do. And so, and the market conditions change, and as a trader, we have to adjust. There was a time where we were setting profit targets. First profit target was the 1272 extension, and then the 1618 was the second profit target, because the market was trending and things were great. But then adjustments had to be made, and now, okay, first profit target is at 100% of the retracement, and then final trailer is off at 1272, and very rarely were you taking the 1272. The other thing is, if you're going to take profit, let's say midway, some of it off, because your lizard brain, so to speak, right, your psychology needs you to take some profit. As soon as you do that, move your mental stop up to break even, right? So you've taken profit, and now on your trailer, you're not going to let your trailer do this, and then your trailer loses more than you made, your 2/3 profit. Move that up to break even. You've taken profit, and now if your trailer doesn't work, it's just zero on the trailer, and you keep this profit. Too often we take profit, too early. One, that's a problem. And then the trade goes against us, and then goes against us even further. And then now the loss on the trailer exceeds our total win, and it's a losing trade. Swan, there is no profit and loss stop on toss. This is a thinkorswim indicator or tool only. You can do it by drawing lines. You can do it by drawing a box, but this that tells you what your P&L it would be, that tells you, okay, this is a 2.83 risk reward. That's just trading view. Yeah, three Bs. I agree. I mean, this kind of a conversation is one you just have to keep hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing until it sinks in. And I still the one mistake. Well, I wouldn't say the one mistake, but the mistake that will still bite me in the butt from time to time is not cutting a trade after a confirmed breakdown and looking at these other VP levels and saying, "Oh, I can bounce it because I've bounced it before." Right? And then, I add to it, I bounce it, it comes up to here, I take it off. It's like a winner. I feel like a boss. But really I should feel like crap because I didn't honor my trade plan, and bad I'm teaching myself bad behaviors. I wasn't disciplined. I just got lucky on the bounce. And that, will happen like 2 in 10. That's not a winning strategy, right? So that is still where I sometimes slip. And knowing that is great. And when I do slip, I cut it immediately. When I recognize that I've slipped, I cut it immediately, and then I shut it down for the day. I punish myself. I can't trade for the rest of that day because I did something stupid. Rich, my recommendation there. It's a great point. It would be, in a perfect world, every trade is going to have a profit target and a stop level, and those things are going to fit your risk parameters and your account size. And I know that Nate's doing that. Nate's trying to add more of those details to trades when he posts them in the trade recommendations. But sometimes it's not always possible, especially if you do this on a regular basis, because those are kind of just in your brain. You kind of know them, and you for yourself. So I would say I agree. In a perfect world, it would be great if every post to trade had these. But I'm trying to impress upon you that you need to take it upon yourself to create these levels: profit loss targets, risk reward, and then ask questions if you are unsure of what those should be, or if you need some validation, like would this be a good stop level? Because that's the only way you're going to become a independent, you know, profitable trader. Yeah. And like Chris says, sell when you're ready, when it hits your levels. Don't wait. I agree. Yeah, Rich. Sorry, I didn't finish reading all of your thing, but that you know that your data is impressive that you've kept that data because when you've selected a trade, you have your own stop loss and profit target in mind. And so when you take a recommendation, you need to do the same thing. Don't put a trade on without a plan. And so that was a great point. Sorry, Rich, I didn't read through the entire question, but you make a great point at the end there. There is no profit or loss strategy in toss. You just have to do the math and figure it out for yourself. But it's not hard. You just do the dollars. Okay? My stop line is here. I just took the profit. I just took the trade here, so that's $1.50. Okay, in it. So then, if that's $1.50, it needs to be at least a $3 win. You know, and so where's your profit target based on that? And then you just have to do the math in your head. Okay, that is it for me. I have to jump off. I'm gonna leave my charts up. I'm not sure if D-Man is coming on this afternoon or not. I know Nate's coming back at 3. So I'll be in chat if anybody has any questions. Uh, Jed, the profit and loss indicator is just right here. Long position, short position, just click it and put it on your chart. It's that easy. It's what, one, two, three, fourth one down. You just click it, hit that chart, and then start adjusting your levels. If I was shorting this, and you want to put it right where you're taking the trade. If I'm shorting this, there's my stop. Here's my target. That's giving me a 3.74 risk reward. And then just leave it on your chart. And as you can see, it gets dark as the trade moves through it. It's pretty fascinating. So this like tracks your trade. So you can see the colors get a little bit darker, right, as it goes through until it hits your target, and then it stops tracking it. So it's pretty neat. What drop down back up? Great. I'm glad it's helping. And like I said, we'll come in and talk about this kind of thing, 100 more times, and hopefully it sinks in for everybody. Because it's the whole game. Uh, Nev, I'm not sure what you mean by my parameters. Yeah, Karen, we can talk about that next time. All right. Take care, everyone. The market. Wow. Wow, that is. Hold on a sec. That SPY. As I was talking, this whole market is just. This SPY 1 minute chart. Is that a 1 minute chart? Yeah. Look at this. Talk about boom, boom, boom. Man, I wish I would have been shorting that. I don't like to try and trade while I'm teaching because I'm trying to do two things at one time. But that is such a weird looking boom, 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 little stair step down. Okay, I will talk to everyone later. The indexes and the ticks are not looking great at the moment, so be careful out there. Chris, you told the market to break. Just give me a heads up next time, would you? All right, I'll talk to everyone later.
sure I understand.